do anything more stupid than this, they meet the challenge. Well, they have certainly met the challenge here with what they are calling the Inflation Reduction Act. Let's talk about what this bill actually has in it. First of all, the package would spend roughly $369 billion on climate and energy programs, including tax credits for buying electric cars and hydrogen vehicles. Senator Manchin, who is helping push this bill, said the proposed legislation would invest in technologies needed for cleaner production and use of cleaner fuel uses, including hydrogen, nuclear, renewables, and fossil fuels. Does any of this sound familiar? It sounds a lot like the Build Back Better bill. Could it possibly be that the Build Back Better bill was just renamed? Yes, that's all this is. They literally took the front cover off the bill and put a new cover on it with a new favorable name. I'll bet I know your question. How does this bill fight inflation? After all, it is called the Inflation Reduction Act. Well, let me tell you how it will do just that, because it really will fight inflation. Let me explain how. The government is proposing another $15,000 tax on all large corporations. No, this isn't the minimum 15% global tax from the past proposals. This is an additional 15% tax to pay for the Build Back Better program named the Inflation Reduction Act. So how does it fight inflation? It's so simple. Well, technically, it causes more inflation, and then it totally solves the inflation problem. Let me explain how that works. First, it causes more inflation, then it solves the inflation problem. If you tax corporations more, guess who pays that tax? You and I do in the cost of goods and services. So if you tax Amazon, for example, 15% more, expect the price of your products to rise by at least 15%. Is that reducing or causing inflation? Duh, dumbass Democrats. It causes more inflation. But here's where it actually can reduce inflation. Let me explain what's going to happen and how it will actually reduce inflation. When the people can no longer afford to buy stuff at these higher inflated prices, people will stop buying. Companies will stop making less money, and then companies will lay off workers. The workers who are laid off will no longer buy the goods and services from these companies, and then more workers will get laid off. Eventually, only a small group of people will be able to afford these products and services, causing an oversupply problem, and then a deflation will occur. So the massive unemployment caused by these dumbass Democrat bills will definitely reduce inflation after a few years. It will also increase foreclosures, repossessions of cars, bankruptcies, and homelessness, but inflation will no longer be a problem. Maybe they could just rename the Inflation Reduction Act to something more appropriate, like the Destroy America Act. We could all wear blue hats to say, let's destroy America again. Of course, this bill would never pass unless the Democrats cheat. Check this out. And guess what? They are doing just that. Apparently, Democrats hope to approve the bill in the Senate via a special budget process called reconciliation, which would allow it to pass with 50 votes and with Vice President Kamala Ding Dong breaking the tie vote in the 50-50 chamber with one vote. So rather than the 60 votes needed to pass this legislation, and it only needs 50 votes plus Harris. Not to bore you with the Reconciliation Act, but the basic idea of the Reconciliation Act was to pass through budgetary issues mostly to keep the government open when the budget wasn't reconciled or to reduce spending. This use of Reconciliation Act is not the intended use of the law. But hey, mail-in voting and stuffing ballot boxes isn't legal either. So expect this to be passed by more Democrat cheating and get ready for real recession or maybe even a depression. All I know is it's hard not to be depressed by these idiots and